Hey everyone, it's Mr. Rose from Columbia Junior High. I teach 8th grade English and I'm excited to help you learn a little bit more about Google Suite. And what I mean by that is we're going to learn about Google Classroom, Google Calendar, and a little bit about Gmail. Now I'm sure you all are experts pretty much at this already, so I just want to cover a couple details to make sure you're utilizing it as best you can. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and we will get started. Now, for me, I have all these things bookmarked, which means I can access them really easily, but if you don't, that's completely okay. We're gonna start with Google Classroom. So if you don't have it bookmarked, you can just type in Google Classroom. Now the cool thing about Google is that all of your things are the same login. So if you haven't logged into Google Classroom or Google Calendar or even Gmail, it's all gonna be using your Fife Schools email. So for me, it's jrose@fifeschools.com. Yours is gonna be whatever your student email is. And it's the same login for everything related to Google. Now, when you open Google Classroom, you might have a couple classes in here from last year, or you might have nothing, and that's okay because your teachers haven't added you yet, or you haven't added yourself. What's likely gonna happen on the first week of school is a teacher is gonna give you a code, and you can just enter that class code right here, and then all of a sudden you will be in the class, which is really cool. Here's an example class I've set up so you can kind of see and familiarize yourself a little bit more with Google Classroom. This first page that it lands you on is called the stream. This is where the teacher can post announcements, where you can see assignments that have been posted in the past. This is essentially where everything that the teacher or students do gets put on. Now, one thing to be aware of is most teachers will allow you to comment on the stream page. What that means is what you post here, anyone can see. So this means this is a time for us to practice our internet etiquette, which means make sure what we're contributing is helpful to the conversation, not hurtful. Most of the stuff you use on Google Classroom is going to be found in this classwork page. Now, these are some things that you did last year with students, but here's a practice assignment so you can kind of see what it'll look like. This is where the teacher will post things for you to complete, and generally they'll provide some instructions. So this one is a quiz on a form. So you just open the form and you complete it. You can see it says it's due August 26th at 11:50 a.m. For me right now, when I'm making this, that's 6 days away. And what's cool is this will show up on our Google Calendar, which I'll show you in just a moment. Another thing you can do is you can access your grades. So see, Mr. Liscano is in this class. If I were to give him a score on this quiz, he definitely earned a, just joking, he got a 50 out of 50. It's important to know that this grade book right here is not Skyward, which is where your final grades are going to be posted. So some teachers might use this, but this isn't the end-all be-all grade book for, I'd say, 95% of teachers at Columbia. Now, like I mentioned earlier, most of these assignments, if the teacher puts a due date, will show up on your Google Calendar. So now let's go to Google Calendar. If you open it up, you will see everything that you have on your calendar. And as you can tell, I use this a lot. So for example, in the middle of last year, this is what my calendar looked like. I had stuff every day organized, and this is just how I choose to organize myself because I know I'm not super organized, and so this helps me stay organized. Like I mentioned earlier, the assignment, the practice assignment here is due on the 26th. So it shows up on my Google Calendar and the instructions appear here as well. So this is a great way for you to keep track of what assignments you have due in each class, and you can put your own things on here. So Friday the 28th, let's say I want to take the dog for a walk. So I'm gonna say, take Chloe for a walk, because that's my dog's name. So now I know Friday at 9:45 to 11:30, I'm gonna take Chloe for a long walk. That's how you can add things to the calendar. If you want, you can change all sorts of colors, you can get creative with it, but it's a great way to stay organized. And it should put your assignments on there as long as the teacher posts the date for you. Last thing we're going to cover real quick is Gmail. Now, I'm sure you all have some experience with Gmail, but I want to just show you a couple things. Most importantly, is how to compose an email, right? It's this big button up here that you can organize. And please, please, please always include a subject when you are emailing someone. So if I email Miss Bronner, who's the other English teacher, I'm going to say summer check-in. And I could say, oh, I want to make sure my capitalization is correct. And I could say, hey, Miss Bronner, I hope your summer has gone well. What was the highlight you've had so far? Please get back to me when you have a chance, rather than saying, what up? Do you get the difference? When you write an email, you want to make sure it's professional and it makes sense. So when you're emailing a teacher about a grade, you should be clear in saying, hey, this assignment, and put the assignment name, I'm curious as to how I scored, what I did, and what I can do to improve my score. I'd love to come in and meet with you. Please let me know a time that works for you. That's much better for a teacher to read than saying, you graded my assignment wrong. As a teacher, I'm going to be like, what are you talking about? So be clear with what you're talking about, and just make sure your email is professional. Also, another feature you can do is you can star emails. So what that means is if something's really important, like Mr. Robinson sent me an email, I want to star that. That way I can access it later and it makes sure it stands out to me. All sorts of options you have, but just make sure you keep your email organized and that you stay on top of it. That way you don't miss any important communication. That's it. That was as quick as I could get through those 3 features. Now, there are endless possibilities to Classroom, Calendar, and Gmail. I just wanted to show you a basic overview with hopes that you're a little bit more comfortable with it now. If you have any questions at all, feel free to email me, because you know how to, at jrose@5schools.com, or reach out to any of your teachers and they can help you as well. I hope this helped. I hope you are enjoying what's left of your summer, and I'm excited to get to see you whenever I am able to. All right, Mr. Rose, signing off.